Warning. The following live broadcast may contain loud, obnoxious, shrill, and alarming noises that might be considered disturbing, if not outright uncomfortable to listen to, especially if you are wearing headphones. I share my office space with an African gray parrot and two parakeets, and I have no control over their behavior while I am live streaming, unlike my regular videos, where I think at this point I just don't bother editing them out at all anyway. So, but I do try to edit them out as best as I can. If you are sensitive to loud, surprising background noises, I recommend either not turning your volume up too loud or watching my edited pre-recorded videos instead. Viewer discretion is advised, but I think viewer discretion is advised for a whole bunch of other reasons, rather than just the parrot himself. But hey, that's how it goes. Oh, there you are. So hello everybody. Hello. I'm just still messing around with the setup here. I guess everyone is just still doing what they're doing. We're going to allow people to slowly trickle in, but yes, I see you, my beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions, watching me from regions beyond. If you are seeing this, well, honestly, I'm only broadcasting. Oh, hey, Lou. Hello. I'm only broadcasting to YouTube and Twitch nowadays. So if that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to post a link to Facebook, but that's okay. They'll find it later. Because Nita had to downgrade the Streamyard, so I can't just put like a random account at the end anymore. So it's like I have to decide absolutely where I'm going to stream to, and I can't just stick like Facebook at the end of that anymore. Now I have to manually update to Facebook, which I completely forgot to do, but that's okay. Like I said, everyone will find out, or I could probably just I don't know. You know what? We'll figure it out. But thank you everybody for joining me today for another wonderful draw stream here in all 19 square feet of my studio. I might as well just get this party started. So hold on. Let me just get my stuff here. So hello everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
You really want to know my process?
Absolutely.
Usually starts with a holla and ends with a creamsicle.
And then if there's time in between, Thundercats. Ho!
And I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales and my medieval fantasy drama Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is on Kickstarter right now with issue 9 of this 16-issue series. The link is in the show notes and in the chat as well. I am also a co-host with Nita, speaking of Nita, on the Rage Into the Vlogs show every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Indie Comics Network, which I am also simulcasting to. So, oh my God, really? That one? Which I am also, where was I? Oh my God, it's like living a Kurt Vonnegut novel here. So, in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at egoworks.com and Tall Tales, TAILS TAILSonline.com. Jesus, you see? And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube if you're joining us from Twitch, or you happen to follow my links here. Anyway, here at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. So make sure, no matter where you're coming in from, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever any of my streams, my shows, and my current weekly uploads go live. I just wanted to bring that up. So I have been for the past 3 weeks. I have been managing to upload a new vlog series. Um, Tales from 19 Square Feet. No, that's other than I should probably call it that. Where I upload kind of like a weekly check-in, where I do like a roundup of all the artwork that I've done for the week, and and then talk about really quick about whatever is on my mind. Um, it's about 20 minutes. Each video is about 20 minutes. And like I said, so far I've managed to upload 3 of them, and I have a 4th one scheduled for Friday. Oh, let's see who else is here. Oh, hello, Sarah. Hello. So Lou and Sarah having a convo in the chat. Oh wow, it's like you only have one issue. Yeah, then you're very far behind. Oh hey Joseph. Yeah, Tall Tales is about the original Thieves Quest story arc is 20 issues, and the current story arc, Tears of the Mother, is when it's finished will be 8 issues. So you still have a bit to catch up on. It's like I'm nowhere near finishing issue 7, so there's some time for you to catch up. The pendant. Yes. So this is my pendant here. This is a how do you pronounce it? A Vegvisir, which is a Viking compass. Oh. Yeah, so this is a Viking compass, and it's supposed to symbolize, you always being in the right direction no matter where you're at. So it matches my Sleipnir. Oh, sorry about that. It matches my Sleipnir ring that is supposed to symbolize doing the impossible. So I need all the help I can get. I need all the help I can get. Yeah, so we're so the videos, right? So I'm a little surprised as to how well those videos so far are being received. I knew that I was just itching for a while to do like just regular video. Oh, hello Melissa, hello. Yeah, I've been so it's like I've been like itching for a while. Oh, no problem, Sarah. So to do like an edited videos. Streams are very easy for me to do, and I really do enjoy them, but I don't know, YouTube doesn't seem to like them very much. But I did want, especially at the beginning of the year, I had wanted to do something that would help me record, kind of like keep like kind of like an archive as to what artwork I've been doing, like how much work I have been doing for the year. And I thought that maybe like doing some kind of art roundup. Oh hey Grant, hello. Would if it was a GPS, yeah, exactly. So like I said, I've been able to make 3 of them so far. And I have one scheduled for Friday. I will be talking about book formats on this next episode. I've just been playing around with some stuff, especially since I'm still kind of wrestling with the idea of conventions. My last vlog was about conventions, and just pretty much how I have a love-hate relationship with them, and I still kind of do. So if you want to check out those vlogs, if you want to check out those vlogs, they're on my channel. So you can check that out. And make sure to comment and engage, because you know how it is. It's like YouTube loves subscribers, but they love engagement even more. Actually, they don't love subscribers, although they do put subscribers, as a requirement to kind of unlock some features. So now I got the subscribers. I got the minimum amount of videos. I've been long past that. Over 600 videos already. I'm long past their minimum requirement. And now I'm just trying to get up the watch hours. And what's really funny is seeing how just these 3 videos have made a difference in how and getting engagement and getting those watch hours. So let's just say it's actually pretty encouraging. I think I gained almost 10 more subscribers since I started doing that series. So that's pretty cool. It's just always nice to see effort rewarded. Let's just put it that way. It's like I've been kind of avoiding doing videos for a while. Instead, I would just do the live streams. But I knew I was missing something by not doing the recorded videos. I just didn't like the hassle of making them. But luckily, more vlog style videos have becoming more popular on YouTube again. It's like we're going full circle. So I could do that. It's like, minimal editing, minimal kind of production value. I'm just talking to a camera and, putting some graphics up and then calling it a day. And it seems to be working. So I'm very happy with that. So, in the title, I guess before I get too far into it, because what I've been doing, so as you can see in the corner here, I have a couple of choices of things that I could work on for the next 2 hours. Although, to tell you the truth, I kind of think that decision has been taken away because when I was looking for reference for actually, so the first thing that I was working on is page 10 of Ego Raven right here. This is page 10 of issue 10 of Ego Raven. Issue 9 is on Kickstarter right now. So I'm currently working on that. And, simultaneously, I've been trying to work on some pages for Tall Tales issue 7, which is very, very slow going. Because I haven't sketched out the entire book. I haven't laid it out. So I'm essentially working on Tall Tales from scratch. So I have to pencil out all of the pages. So I do have a complete scene. As you can see here, it's like I pre-lettered the pages and I'm bringing that lettering into Clip Studio, and then I'm drawing on top of them. So I'm working around the lettering just to make sure everything is positioned correctly. And I only have one scene I have one scene laid out but not penciled out. So then there's that I could work on. But while I was looking for some reference, I came across this cover that I had started working on. I don't know when. What this is page layout. Horizon Black says page layout is such a challenge. It is. Honestly, I think out of the entire process of doing a comic is laying out the story. That's the hardest part for me. Once I get the layouts done, then the penciling is a lot easier, and then after that it's like oh, okay, now I just have to ink it and color it. But yeah, for me it's the layout's the hardest, then the penciling. Melissa says I just started lettering first and it's been great. Yeah, I've been making that a habit too. With Tall Tales issue 7, the entire thing is lettered and all the lettering is positioned. And what that does is that it kind of makes me mentally think of the layout because I have to lay out where all the lettering goes. So I get a really, really rough idea of how the story is going to lay out, how the scenes are going to break down and how the panels are going to break down. And then it's actually a little easier for me to lay it out. But I still had to think about that lettering. But once you have the lettering, it's easy. It's a lot easier. It's not easy. You know what it is? None of these steps are easy, in the dictionary sense of the word. You know, it's like it's easier compared to. So, you know, but you know, so what happened is as I was looking for reference because I thought, well, maybe let me put like finishing penciling this scene on the table, right? And then I came across this cover that I was like recoloring or in the process of recoloring. I had completely forgot about it. And I'm like going, oh, you know, it's like I could really, you know, it's like I could really use to finish the shading on this at least, you know, kind of like get this this for Sarah who's only has the one issue Tall Tales. This is one of the original covers to issue 5 of the original series of Thieves Quest. And what had happened is that I am hopefully in March, if Diamond is still around by then, Tall Tales is going to be back in furlough by Antarctic Press in March. So we're starting the series from the beginning. We're serializing it in furlough. And honestly, had I realized, like, I don't know what the, like, if they're going bi-monthly or quarterly, if I well, that was also hey, okay, Fern. None of these are a commission except for the one piece that's not on the table that I'm going to like. Okay, so the last piece that I have as an option is a House of Bob commission. Now, of course, it being YouTube, I can't do the full version of the piece. However, I can still work on enough that we can all see the commission being worked on, and without getting into trouble, let's just say. So these, okay, so I did say it was going to be chat's choice as to what you wanted to see. I know what I'm kind of leaning towards, but you know what? This is for you guys. This is this is for you. You know, it's like, oh, Sarah says I think it was the first 2 issues free on your website at the beginning when I was able to read them digitally. But I always love physical when possible. But that's how long it's been. Yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely fine. So, okay. So, all right. So these are the options that we have for today. Okay, actually, let me see here. Okay, so let me write this down. Okay, so we have, all right, so what are we working on today? So okay, so what are we working on today? We have one, which is, let's see, Eagle Raven, page 10, right? Then we have option 2, which is Tall Tales layouts. Okay, we could do that. We could do, or 3, we could continue with the Tall Tales cover that I have on the screen as well. Or we could do 4, which is the House of Bob commission. So, you know, so let's see. So let me say choose one. So choose one. Okay, so this is okay. So I'm gonna put our options in the chat. Okay, so choose one, right? So we're gonna have, so 1 is Eagle Raven page 10, 2 is Tall Tales layouts, 3 Tall Tales cover, or 4 House of Bob commission. Unfortunately, it didn't format the post the way I wanted. I guess it's not like Facebook where if I do it in a certain way, it posts the same way. But okay, so but I'm sure that the post is a little messy, but I'm sure you guys get the gist. So I'm going to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody until 4:30, so about a little under 10 minutes. Okay, so we have one or two. We have another one. We have. I'm assuming you mean choose two. That it's supposed to be page 10 and then number 2. So Horizon, you're choosing Tall Tales layouts, right? Oh, so I'm pretty sure. We have another thing for layouts. Okay, more layouts. All right, all right. So kind of like layouts are kind of all right. So you know what? Layouts are in the lead. Layouts, I think, are in the lead. Oh, you're just being cheeky. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But okay, but layouts. Okay, so far layouts is in the lead. So okay, so let's give it like a couple of minutes. But I don't know. It looks like you guys want layouts. So, oh, don't worry, Grant. Just hang out. Um, let's see. So yeah, so what else? Oh yeah, so on my last vlog, right, I was talking about conventions, and I guess I don't know, it's like coincidentally there was this video that popped up um where this woman was talking about how she's actually not going to do anime conventions anymore, especially, well, it's like especially um anime convention / anime artist alley, right? Because what's funny is that like artist alley, oh, Sarah, okay, so Sarah wants to see layouts. Okay, so yeah, definitely layouts are still the lead. Um, so 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 what she was talking about was, so considering artist alleys, anime con artist alleys is something that I was like kind of thinking of expanding into, right? But from what I've been watching from a lot of videos, they're not, artist alleys are not the way I used to remember them anymore. And like I can't even tell you the last time I was on an anime convention. Ever since they implemented the lottery system for a lot of conventions, we have never been able to get into an anime convention since. And we're talking about decades. There just really came a point, like I think like Anime Boston was, I think, like the last anime convention we were at. And they went lottery, and then we've never been able to get back in. Same thing with, there was a variation of an anime show in the city at the Javits Center. It's not Anime NYC. I'm not sure if that's Reed Pop. There was a separate anime show that they would do from New York Comic Con until they merged everything together again. And again, that was another, oh, hey, HR, that was another convention we were never able to get back into. So so I'm thinking, so I was thinking, it's like, oh, let me go back to doing anime conventions. But the more of these videos that I watched, I don't know, the more it's like going, these conventions are not what I remember them being. And there was this one particular video where they were talking about how, like, like more shows are going to the lottery system, and what that does is they've a lot of shows, because of that, I guess what it is, it's just easier for them to do a lottery system than it is to actually vet the people that are buying tables. And what's happening is that I guess a lot of shows, a lot of artist alleys are just pretty much like drop shippers, and and like AI hacks and proxies, where it's like an artist just hires somebody to sell for them in an artist alley. They're not even there. And Horizon says the odd and unusual show. Oh, that's those are good names. In Maine is now lottery as well. Yeah, I honestly, I really do think they do that because that way they don't have to bother curating anything. Oh, well, you're in the lottery, so you get in, and they don't vet, they don't, so it sounds egalitarian, but it's not really, it's like, it's like, you know what, for the amount of money that conventions cost, this is going to probably be a very unpopular opinion, but one of the reasons that they say that they want to go to a lottery system is to give a lot of new artists the opportunity to sell at conventions, to in their artist alley, which is all fine and dandy. But you still need to curate on a certain level, because again, to weed out drop shippers and proxy dealers and all that, but also to weed out people who probably shouldn't be there. And what I mean by that is like, it is like the very, very, very amateur people who want to do artist alley for the first time, but their artwork might not be up to standard. And I know that that sounds pretty bad, but the problem is that if this is like a local show and it costs like $5 to get in and tables are like $40, then fine, then you can, but it's like when we're talking about conventions that are charging several $100s for the weekend, and that's just to go to the show. That's not even being in the artist alley, and I don't want to pay that much money to go to a convention to see amateurs. Oh, thank you. Lou says, if I have to pay to shop, I only want professional creators. I agree. That you should have that your skill level should be, equal to what, I mean, not equal to, but it should be at a standard that I'm not going to feel away if I see you at a convention I just spent $200 for the weekend to be in, right? Like I said, if it's a local show and it's like if I yeah, I agree, Lou. So it's like, so I understand like wanting to mix up the artist alley a bit, but you still have to curate the work that's being sold there. Especially for the amount of money that everybody is spending to be at these shows. And and the thing is, it's like, yeah, so I don't think that they're really doing anybody any favors by just letting the artist alley go willy-nilly, right? And and it's like, hold on, let me just because it's obvious that layouts won in the chat. Layouts won in the chat. So I am going to open up, where are you? Here it is. So this is okay, hold on. We're just opening up Tears of the Mother here, and I'm going to open up the 3 pages for this scene. So, okay, so there we go. So the chat has spoken. The chat has spoken, and they want to see layouts. So that's what we're gonna work on today. So hey Joe. Well, you kind of a lottery, let's say, so yeah, so hey Joe, well, the rant was kind of, it's a little lukewarm rant, but Lou says a lottery doesn't spot AI, so that's right, exactly. Yeah, as a buyer, right, I completely agree with everyone above. So yeah, I still, even if you're going to do a lottery, you still have to curate the people that are going into the convention. And the more I watched this, the more I watched this video, the less I wanted to even try to get into an anime convention. Because like I said, it's been it's like I don't know. It's like I said, it's like if honestly, I narrowed down my options. There were some other conventions I was thinking of, like, okay, let me sign up for them. And I decided to scrap all of them except one, which is Anime NYC. And and it's like they're also lottery based, you know? And they're also lottery based, and it's close by. Well, it's at the Javits. It's it's not that far away from me. It's literally local. Um, but it's gonna be like, if I get into this convention, it's $500, right? And it seems that like anime conventions have kind of gone the way of comic book conventions, where it's pretty much, it's all about whatever voice actors they get in. People only want to see their fan art of their favorite stuff, and they're not really curious about new types of artwork. So the more I hear about that, the more it's like, oh my God, it's like, am I just moving into the same problem that I have at comic book conventions? Um, and it's like, but at the same time, it's like, would me selling comics and not keychains and fan art and tchotchkes, would that make me stand out more? It's like, I don't know. So I'm probably gonna take a punt with Anime NYC and sign up and see if I can get into it. But I am going to proceed with caution. Let's just say, Um, let's see. Okay. So the chat wanted to see layouts today. Um, so if you had, so about like several months ago, you guys would have remembered this front piece. Hold on, where's my cursor? There it is. Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, I think it would be, but that's what I'm thinking, right? That it's like, I'm not selling anything that anybody else at Anime NYC would be selling. So would that be a benefit to me? It's like, or are people just so fan art brain rotted that they don't want to look at anything that's not, I don't know, what the fuck are the kids watching these days? Juju Kaisen? I don't even know what these shows are. I have no idea what these shows are. But yeah, if I can get into Anime NYC, I'll probably do that. I'll do that. I still don't know if I can get around, get it's just, but I have to get through the lottery. So it's not like I just pay for a table and call it a day, right? Uh right. Yeah. So yeah, if I were to not get a table, I would probably just buy like a 1-day pass just to check it out. Just to see if I missed anything. Let's just say that. Because it's like, worst comes to worst, I'll do the same thing to that I'm doing for Monsterotica, where it's like, I'm going just as an attendee to see whether this is something that would work for me, you know um in the future as a vendor. So okay, so on the screen, right, so a couple of months ago, um I started working on the first page, and finally finished it. So this is what it looks like. And I had to remind myself that it wasn't in color, because holy shit, am I still really, really tempted to color this in. But Tall Tales is not a color book, so can't do that. So here we have the rest of the pages for this scene. So I figured if I worked on a scene, scene by scene, it'll be kind of like less stressful than if I try to do all 40 pages. This issue is going to be 40 pages. So what I did, right? So okay, let me just show what's going on here. What did I even do here? um I think okay, I don't know if I have those. Okay, so um I guess I deleted the files with the lettering on, or I might have thought of doing that after the fact. After the fact. So so I lettered out the scene first. So like to give you an example, like here, right? So I took the lettering, I took the script, took the lettering, and I went and I paced out the lettering on the pages. That's kind of like, depending, Tall Tales is a very wordy comic, so there's a lot of dialogue for me to work with. So it's very easy for me to set up a pattern, like a layout pattern, using the dialogue. So, like, let me open up another page here. So I broke down the script and I broke down the panels according to the script. So so it's kind of like, okay, so because you don't want the panels to be too stuffed with lettering, right? So you want to break down where you want your lettering to be. So in this case, this is how I have the lettering broken down. Now, luckily, for me, I'm not constricted by page count. So if I have to stretch it out, I can do that. If you're working with very, like, if you have to fit a story in 24 pages, you're going to have to take that into consideration as to how your dialogue is going to pace out in those 24 pages. And mind you, this is before we've drawn anything. Let's see. Melissa's asking, do you draw your panels and do the lettering in Illustrator? Yes, I do the lettering in Illustrator. So that's what I did first. I broke down the lettering in Illustrator. And then the paneling itself, I did like kind of like finalized paneling in Clip Studio. The only reason I don't do lettering in Clip Studio is because I just don't like it. I'm using a very specific technique that Nate Pecos, that he spells out, and he uses Illustrator, so I follow his instructions. So what I did was I brought in, so once I have the lettering paced out, right? And also what's really good about doing this is that it makes you conscious as to how, like, which character comes first. So it makes you rethink the panel. So like in this case, like maybe my initial idea was to have a secondary character here, but then once I laid out the word balloons, it's like, oh, I can't have him there. I have to have him here because another character speaks first. And it's always pretty much considered that you always start a panel with whoever is speaking first. So that way you don't confuse the flow, the reading flow for the reader. So that's what I did here. So I have the lettering as I'm going to put them in the panels, right? Set up the page. And like I said, I haven't drawn anything yet, but the word balloons gives me a better idea as to how I'm going, like what goes in the panel, where characters are going to be positioned, how they're going to be positioned the best. And then I can start drawing in what goes, oh, no, cancel. I can start going in with what goes where. Now, there's no lettering on these pages because, like I said, I started doing that lettering trick after this scene, but it's pretty much the same thing. What I did was I had Illustrator open on another screen and I drew out the panels according to the word balloon placement in the Illustrator file. So this is how I got the layout on the screen that I have. So what I do, like, let's take, what was the panel that I was looking at? Okay. So like this panel. So what I did was I started with a really, really rough sketch. It's like, you don't, right. Exactly. Lou. It's like you work smarter, not harder. Right. So once you have your lettering down, you want to put down a really rough idea as to what you want happening in the panel, because you don't want to commit to anything yet, as you know, until it's like you figure, you know, it's like, okay, the word, maybe if I move the words, the word balloons here, I can move this character there. Maybe, oh, this layout's not really working out, let me move things around. You want to still be kind of rough in this stage, because you don't, because like once you start doing, you don't want to like do like a completely rendered piece and then realize, I should have done it differently. It's like, you know what, the word balloon really doesn't work with this layout, and it's like, I wanted to do it this way, but I actually have to do it the other way. So you don't want to commit to anything just yet, right? So, you know, you work out your layout, right? Let's see. Does this method always follow the natural eye progression for reading left to from reading left to right better? Well, that is what you want to do. Because that's the whole point of kind of like staying rough in this stage. Um, you know, when you're back on your lettering, right? Um, when you're back on your lettering, you want to make sure that you can read the word balloons and understand what's happening, that it's like it doesn't feel like you're skipping too much, right? And then you want to place your characters in a way where you still have that visual flow. I think a big mistake that some artists make is that they just put the characters and the word balloons anywhere, and you know, and it's like, and it gets really confusing. Like they just think that, oh well, you know, it's like they start the word balloon here for some reason, and then the second one's over here, and then but then you jump to it, you know, it, no, you need, there's a certain guide you need to follow. There you have to, you want people to read, you want to control how people are reading your page. And the easiest way to do that is to control where the lettering goes, and then control where the character goes. And then the eye will naturally flow through the page how you want, you know, without you having to use literal arrows. Remember, you know, when you would see the literal arrows, go to this panel. Horizon, it's like, oh, Sarah says, I can see why this is the hardest part. Yeah, because this is where you're doing all of your planning. Because if you mess up your planning, your final pages are not going to work out, and you're only going to regret that's like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. So yeah, so you want to make sure that, I know drawing is the fun part, right? But you're not doing an illustration, you know, but even with an illustration, you still kind of do a variation of this to make sure that the piece works visually, right? So, but the difference is that your panels have to tell the story before your words do. So you have to plan that out. And so yeah, so that's why I say that this is the toughest. Well, for me, at least, this is the toughest part, because this is where the most thinking happens. Horizon says, have you considered going to a furry convention? The closest convention to me, and probably the only one that probably would be worth going to, is Anthrocon. And at this moment, I am literally unable to get there. I have been curious about going back there, although the last furry convention that I've been at had, you know, it's like it was the first convention that I've been at for a long time. And the scene when I went to that convention was very different. When I left furry fandom, it was still very comic book centric. But when I went to this last furry convention, it was like almost 100% fursuiting. So, you know, it's like I remember still kind of doing well at it, but it I don't know, it wasn't a convention I felt that I should go back to. If I was going to try a furry convention again, I would definitely try Anthrocon, but at this moment, it's like I just don't really have a convenient means to get there. But definitely, if I ever try Anthrocon again, you will know. Everyone will know. Yes, yes, Horshack. Let's see. Where understand how script to panel visual comes into play? This is why doing the writing by seat of pants or by bullet points fails. Okay, so depending on how you write a script. Now, of course, it's like your flow is going to depend on your script. Because that's where everything starts. We do not utilize the Todd McFarlane method where you draw the panels first, throw the pages on the ground, and then write the story according to how the pages fall in order. We do not work that way. None of us are Todd McFarlane, so none of us should be working that way. So in the end, your story has to have that narrative. And it's like, I don't know what you mean by working by the seat of your pants. I'm hoping that you have your story complete, at least for your issue, when you start doing this process. Because you're going to have, if you don't know where your story is going, I don't know how you can draw it out. So optimally, you should have your entire story written out. Like if your story is a 4-issue limited series or a 6-issue limited series or whatever, 6 issues, 4 issues, 2 issues, right? You should have your entire story written. From beginning to end. It doesn't matter if it's a story arc. Okay, because a story arc always happens. No, the McFarlane was more the image method. Marvel at least kept McFarlane on a leash. Once he started doing Spawn on his own, that's where chaos reigned when it came to him. So even if you're just doing a story arc, right? Your story arc should literally be a mini story, that just happens to continue to that happens to continue. Did you know that the guy who played Horshack was actually a graphic designer? He went into graphic design and he designed album covers. I think his most famous one is for Europe. And it's like kind of like this airbrushed Pegasus. It looks kind of like, it was when everyone was kind of using that Roger Dean airbrush style. And that was his. I thought it was really funny. But besides that. So you want your story, even if it's a story arc, it still needs that complete narrative in that space for you to pace out how you're going to draw out your book. You have to know, it's like, if your story, you have a story, it's like, okay, I'm going to fit that in 4 issues. Right? So by having a complete story and essentially your beats, your bullet points. Okay. So you're going to have your beats in your story and you have to and then it's like from your script, it's like, okay, I have to fit this script to 4 issues. So you're going to use your beats as kind of like your anchors as to where they're going to fall in each issue. You see, it's a lot of planning. It's not fun. It's a lot of thought process here, right? So that's why in this stage, you kind of want to not commit yet. You still want to be loose with what you're doing. Of course, if you're working for a publisher and they say you have to fit this in 24 pages or you have to fit this in 2 issues, you're going to have to work with that. That's you're constrained by that. You're just going to have to figure it out. All right. But when you're doing this for yourself, it gives you a little bit more flexibility, but you still have to plan it out. So, okay, so you have your script, right? You have your complete script. You're going to break down your script by scene, right? So it's like, because that's what I do. That's what I do. So I take my script and I break it down by scene, because that's how you're going to break down the kind of like the how you're going to hit your beats in your artwork, right? So and then from the scenes, right, I kind of do this odd thing where I try to figure out how many, like, I kind of like divide the scenes by the number of issues and see how many scenes. Okay, it's like, okay, maybe I could fit like 8 scenes in this book, or 4. I can only fit 4 scenes in this book, but it also depends on how intensive some of the scenes are. You're going to have shorter scenes, you're going to have more involved scenes, but you still need an idea as to how long those scenes are going to take. So once you have your scenes, right, then you're going to start breaking down your scenes by how many pages you're going to need for each scene, right? And then that's how you're going to start fitting them into your issues, right? So if you know you're doing, okay, so Tall Tales, usually I want to keep it like 32 pages, right? So here we have 32 pages, but my scenes actually needed 40 pages. So I had an extra long scene, so I had to add an extra pages. So this issue went from 32 to 40. Like I said, I self-publish, so I'm not constrained by that. Although I could hear Jose saying, it's like, if you did it shorter, it'll cost less money to print. And it's like, well, no, it's more, for me, it's more important to tell the story properly than, in what I think is a proper way, than try to like force everything, especially when I don't have to. So, okay, so we're at this point where, it's like we have like our rough layout, right? And it's like, okay, you know what? I like the way this works. So let's pencil in, the kind of like the semi-final drawing before our pre-ink drawing, right? And already it's a good thing I'm looking at these pages again, because already I forgot the scar that he's supposed to have, that, it's like, so he has this scar, right? He has this wound here, and I forgot to put that there. So I'm going to have to put that there. So let me see. So let me just put that in while we're here, before I forget. Because if I don't put it in now, when I go to ink this, I'm going to completely forget it, and then I'm going to have to edit it later. Or with my luck, I'm only going to notice it. I'm going to like notice it only after it's printed. So yeah, so we just want to put that scar there so that I remember that it's supposed to be there, right? So now this is what my pencils look like when I'm going to ink it. So now I can ink it and know that it's like, okay, when I put my word balloon down, it's not going to be a big deal, because I've already made this panel specifically for the word balloons that are going to fall into place. So same thing with this panel right here. So you know what? Okay, so if this panel is good to go, essentially, actually, let me see. Oh yeah, no. I would have to. I think I would have to convert it. Hold on. Let me see if I have import image. Do I have? No. Yeah, I don't want to get into trouble for that. Let's see. Let's see. So, did I prepare all the pages or just the ones that I needed? Hold on. I think, okay, yeah, I don't think I set that up. Yeah, I don't. How did I do that? Ah, well, it does. Oh, screen grabs. That's right. Um, actually, okay. So let me. No. You know what? It doesn't matter. Actually, no. It's like, you know what? Let me just open up. I'm gonna open up Illustrator on my other screen, and so I can show you how. Yeah, because Clip Studio Paint does not open Illustrator files. So what I had to do was I had to pretty much screen grab the pages. Okay, that's Eagle Raven. Let's go to Tall Tales 7 lettering. So this is page 2. So I'm opening up. Okay, let me show you. I can show you this on the screen here. Okay, so there we go. So this is my Illustrator file that I did a rough breakdown of the panels and brought the lettering, and put in the lettering right now, because Clip Studio doesn't take Illustrator files, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a I'm going to just make a rough screen grab of the Illustrator file, for the lettering, right? And then I'm going to paste it. Let me make sure it works. Let's see. Where would I put it? Let me see. Okay, did it work? Let me see. There it is. Okay, so here's my lettering, and I am going to bring it. Let's see. I'm going to just line up. Or was that here? Oh, that was here. I think that was here. Going to line up everything, right? So that's what I did. And then, okay, hold on. Let's wait for that. And then multiply. Okay, so there you go. So I took my Illustrator file, copied it in, and this is essentially where the lettering is going to go when I put the when I put the final image into the Illustrator file. So at least I know the lettering is pretty much where I want it to be. If anything, I might change this, maybe bring it down here a bit. But the panel itself is how I want it to be. So this one, we have the rough, we have the blue line, which is what I like about Clip Studio, is that I could automatically make the pencils blue line, so I can draw on top of them, right? So let me see. So what am I going to use here? So I'm going to use a lighter pencil. I usually use the mechanical pencil, but I like the texture that this one that this pencil is. I don't know, it just looks, it's very superficial. I mean, it's all digital, so it shouldn't matter, but I like the pencil look of this particular brush. So let's see. So let me see. So now he's getting grabbed, so he's kind of like surprised, like, how dare you touch me, you know? Let's see. So as you can see, right, it's like once I have the layout done, I can kind of like not think about it as I'm penciling. Um, it's kind of like the further I get into the process, the less I have to think about it. And what's really funny is that the less I have to think about something, the less I procrastinate about it. The most dangerous part for me, um, doing comics is the layout. Because it requires so much thinking, I'm more likely to procrastinate. And I think that that's also the reason why I'm not as um I'm not as far ahead um on Tall Tales as I should be, because it require I still have to map it out essentially. I still have to like do that, do the foundational work. And yeah, and it takes a long time. It takes a bit, you know and it's like, and as you can see too, I'm also not like a really tight penciler. I'm not a tight penciler at all. I'm only putting down as much detail as I need because I'm going to ink it. So I don't want to like feel like I'm wasting my time uh fussing with details that I don't need to fuss with. Like honestly, it's like the effort for me comes in the inking, where it's like, okay, I can just that's where I put in the detail. But because I have the pencils, inking in all that detail doesn't feel that much. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just like, oh, it's kind of like a combination of tracing and freehanding. That's how I describe my inking. Um okay, hold on. Let me get my so what I'm going to do is I'm getting a previous my previous issue and to use it as reference. You know, you know, oh, it's like, oh, that's too much computer verbiage, Joe. Too much computer stuff for me. Let's see. Let's see. You can have loose says you can have loose pencil work when you aren't passing it to another artist to ink. Well, that's true too. Yeah, I don't worry about that. I'm not worried about other artists inking my stuff, so I don't have to worry about giving them the literal outline of what they have to do. Yes, if you're, I mean, it's like, yeah, giving if you're giving your artwork to somebody else, then yeah, you have to make sure that that your pencils um that your pencils are tight enough um to for them to follow essentially. You know, even though, an inker is going to embellish let me just close that. An inker is going to embellish anyway. Unless you literally tell an inker to just trace what's on the page. Man, it's been so long since I drew these characters. It's like, oh, I actually feel a little rusty. Uh, I don't like the way I have to redo this guy's eyes. Hold on. This is bothering me a bit. I don't like the way he looks here. There we go. Much better. Sometimes you got to do that. Yeah, inking, well, I mean, it's like, I think that an inker should be able to do both because you don't know what an artist is going to want. It's like it's like, look, um, there's some people artists who they're just some pencilers. It's like, no, you ink what's on the page. You literally trace what you have on the page, right? And then there are other inkers where it's like they're going to add in stuff that the penciler didn't even think of adding. I mean, yeah, I like that better. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of, like I said, it's been a while since I drew these characters, so I'm going to have to probably tweak how they look before I ink them in. Joe says, I still do pencils on Bristol board. I like to mix it up. Ever since I kind of figured out it finally clicked on how to use Clip Studio Paint. Um, it is a lot easier for me to, it's faster for me to pencil in in Clip Studio because I can do this. I can do this. Right? So it's like I can do that, you know? Um because and then it's like, and then I could just keep it moving, where if I'm drawing this traditionally, I would have to start the piece all over again. Usually what I have to do is I would have to resize it, then light box it back, and it was a whole thing. But I don't think I would have been able to do the 16 pages, I mean the 16 issues, finishing Ego Raven, the 16 issues of Ego Raven, if it wasn't for Clip Studio. Because I was able to just really keep the sketching going. No matter what mistake I made, I could just fix it really quick, really roughly, and then and then just keep it moving. I think even here, it's I'm still going to have to do some tweaking here. When I'm about to before I color it, I mean ink it, because the funny thing is that I'm not even sure if I'm drawing the right character in here. Jose has these three characters that are essentially triplets, and I had a chart somewhere of what the three characters looked like so that I would know how to tell them apart, and I can't find the chart. So I'm just right now putting in kind of like a filler character until I can go back and say, okay, the clothing's wrong on this one. So so I'm just like kind of like just filling in this gap until I can find that chart of mine. So I find that chart because of because like I went back and I mean I'm pretty sure if I go back to the previous issue, I'm pretty sure I could let's just say I wasn't as careful in the previous issues um as I should have been with these these particular characters. Because they're triplets. Who knows? They all look the same. All three of them look the same. Um, it's funny that you mentioned that because I know that Daz is the animation studio, right? That you work in, right? And I was kind of a little concerned about whether like working so much in Clip Studio would kind of like because it's so easy to fix mistakes. And that's what I appreciated with all the House of Bob commissions, because they were all traditional um that I was doing. So I was able to kind of like get back into the routine of that doesn't look right. Of Okay, I'm gonna have to probably come back to this panel later. I'm just going to like kind of like continue. I mean, it's like I think I don't know. It's like they like I said, I haven't drawn these characters for too long. So let's see. I have to find that reference. Um so yeah, it's like was it a little challenging to go back to doing traditional after doing digital for so long? Yeah, kind of. It was a little I felt a little rusty, but in the end it's still just like kind of like just getting back to the routine of it. Um if anything, it made me a little more careful because I knew I couldn't just fix whatever it was that I was doing. And let's see. Oh, I think it was on okay, yeah. So it's like, so probably, I don't think it made me feel lazy as much as I think that just that Clip Studio just made me more efficient where I needed to be. Because if I was doing those pages traditionally, I don't think I would be even nowhere near finished with it. I think that using the drawing digitally kind of like allowed me to kind of like let go of some hangups because I could just fix and move on, as opposed to like feeling like mistakes were forever almost on a page. Um it was just really funny seeing some old pages, like older pages, and well, it's just seeing the older pages in general, and kind of like, oh, it's like I could have fixed that, I could have fixed that, I could have fixed that if I did this digitally. But it kind of, it is what it is. It's just, it just depends on what I need to do. um Working digitally just helps me. Hey, working digitally just it just helps speed up my process, at a time when I really do need to speed up my process. It's kind of like that. So I don't consider it as like, oh, making me lazy. I think at this point, at the age that I'm at, lazy's not an issue. Like this stuff doesn't make me feel it's like, no, you know what? If the work is still mine, um, I'm still drawing it. It just happens to be digital. Um, it's just that now I'm just able to finish this work a lot faster. That's pretty much okay. In my case, working DAS kept me away from working on Amazonia. I could work on Primetime Saturday Night and the adult anthology All I Want in DAS, but Amazonia suffers as a result. Right, because I guess once you have all the assets, I guess in DAS, you could just continue, you could just adjust everything how you need. But Amazonia, you have to work from scratch, right? So yeah, it's a different so so as you can see, that's kind of like what we're working with, right? So once we get the panel, now it's kind of coming together now, right? It's that's how it's feeling, right? So we're going to go to this panel here, right? And we are going to do the same thing. We're just going to turn that blue so I can work on top of it. Grant says, I never understood that impulse artists have to do things the hard way. Peer pressure, right? It's like, it's kind of like, oh, hey, Michael. It's kind of like that whole thing where it's like, oh, real artists don't use reference. It's like, oh, real artists don't do this. Real artists don't do that. And once we realize that most of those things come from children, it's like, if you notice, like the people online who say stupid shit like that, like, it's like, oh, real artists, oh, if you use reference, it means you're tracing, or you shouldn't be tracing. And it's like, only children say that, because professional artists, they do what they need to do in order to finish their work. Tracing reference is not cheating. Using reference is not cheating. Um, collaging collaging different pieces, different drawings together to finish one piece is not cheating. Like what Clip Studio allows me to do, that I am taking full advantage of, is if I draw a background in one scene that I know I'm going to reuse later, I draw that background, I finish that background on a separate layer, so that all I have to do is take that layer and drop it into the other scene and adjust it, and I don't have to draw a background because it's already done. And these children would be like, oh, that's cheating. And it's like, you know what? I got my work done. It's still my artwork. I got my work done. That's the part that matters. I don't care if a child thinks that I'm cheating. It's still my work. It's like, just because I'm using, I'm taking elements from a panel and bringing it into another panel, and then, oh, maybe let me flip. Okay, you know what? Like, oh, I like the face on this character. Let me reuse it. Oh, I like the way this. Okay, I have to draw guards. Let me draw one and then just copy and paste them all over the background. It's like, that's what I do. I mean, it's like, good grief. And I find it so funny that people, so what happens is that if you hear this enough times, Grant, people end up, artists end up with a complex, and it takes a while for them to finally like abandon this as the complaints of children, and then, no, you have to do what you have to do your work. It's like, as long as you're using your own work to do this. Like, I've taken photos and traced photos just to get the pose, and then did my own artwork. I mean, shit, to tell you the truth, I've done that to other people's artwork too. Where it's like, oh, I really like that pose that they use. Let me break down that pose and then make my own artwork based on that. And I've seen some other artists freak out on that too. Like there's some people who are posting to Instagram, do not trace, do not, use as a base, or it's like, no, fuck you. It's like, I like your pose. You know what? It's like, I like your pose. I'm taking your pose. I'm not stealing your artwork. I'm stealing your pose. It's like, it's two different things, right? Because it's like, it's like nobody's going to tell me that oh, you copyrighted a basic stance. It's like, give me a break. It's like, no, you do what you need to do. And the thing is, though, the thing that I find ridiculous, right? Because the thing about Clip Studio Paint is that they have the asset gallery that you can go download free assets. And that's been really helpful too. Yeah, because sometimes I download the architectural ones, and then, and then it's like I draw over them. I don't use them straight because they don't look they look too much like assets. So I draw on top of them so that they fit into my artwork. I don't use the assets straight because they look like assets, right? But realizing the other day when I was looking for something that they have assets for everything. They have assets for clothing, for specific pieces of clothing, for mouths, for eyes, for head positions. That's like, I realized, like, holy shit, how many people are literally pulling a Mr. Potato Head on their comics. That how many of these people on Webtoons are just literally just taking assets and slapping them together. They're barely drawing anything. They're just taking, I mean, it's like literally Mr. Potato Head, a Mr. Potato Head comic. How many people are doing that? Because the deadlines are so insane, for like, you have to do the equivalent of 18 pages in a week if you want to do like a proper Webtoons. Like, no, fuck that shit. So it's like, it's it's like, how come they're not complaining? The kids are not complaining about that. Well, because it's like, as long as they get their comics, as long as they get their comics every week, then it's like, they don't care what the artist has to do. Although they do complain if they realize, like, oh, this is all assets. It's like, no, you know what? Fuck you. It's like, you either want your comic every week or you want it drawn. I mean, so that's why a lot of artists struggle with that. It's usually like, a lot of artists struggle with that because they internalize that nonsense. And when in the end, I am telling you, you don't have to, you can let go of that. You can let go of that. It's like, as long as you're drawing your stuff, how you finish it is your business. If you want to copy, if you want to pre-draw a face and you want to copy that throughout your comic, do that. It's like, you want to trace backgrounds, do that. You want to steal a pose, do that. It's like, as long the final result is still your artwork. You're it's like, there's literally people who are writing not for use as inspiration. It's like, are you retarded? I mean, I've literally seen that. Do not use as inspo. Fuck you. I'm redrawing your piece out of spite. It's I mean, it's kind of just weird, that it's like everyone's having these little hang-ups, and it's like, no, you don't. Let it go. Let it go. You can just do the artwork the way you need to do it. If you draw faster in Clip Studio Paint, do it. If you want to trace a background, do it. If you want to take a pose that somebody else did on this piece of artwork because you like that pose so much, take the pose. Hand lettering, can I tell? Well, first Melissa says, I remember reading a webtoon where all the backgrounds and major set pieces were photos that were Photoshop filtered to within an inch of their lives, and the comic had 100K subs. Right. You know who else did that? Neil Adams. Neil Adams did that. there's an issue of Samory, right? This is back in back in the late 80s, I think. He did an issue of Samory where she sneaks into the Museum of Natural History here in New York. And all he did was take photographs of the museum, and those were the backgrounds. Like he kind of like copied them, like he did like Xerox. So it's like they're very like black and white, but you could tell they're photos, right? And then he painted on top of them. Those are the backgrounds. I mean, it's like, this is a professional. This is Neil Adams. You're going to tell Neil Adams that he sucks for doing that? Nobody does that. Nobody, it's like, that's ridiculous, right? And it's like, yeah. And then it's like, you have all these artists, like teaching each other. Like I was just watching a tutorial the other day on how to take a photograph and turn it into a manga background. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't personally figure it out. What I was trying to do is I was trying to figure out how to do that so I can isolate the outlines so that I could draw on top of it and kind of like understand more what I'm looking at in the photo. But it's like, yeah, it's like, I personally wouldn't just use the photo. I mean, it's like, oh, and then Grant says, how about hand lettering? Can you tell the difference? I can't. But I'm pretty sure a professional letterer could. I'm pretty sure. I've always used digital lettering. So yeah, we've known professional letterers, and there is something more organic with how their lettering looks. But like, if you asked me to tell the difference, I couldn't tell you. Because yeah, it's like, I don't know how to do hand lettering, so I wouldn't know what to look for. Let's see. Joe says, I'm still learning how to use the Ames lettering tools. Oh, there you go. I mean, if you want, hello, Jones. Hello. Yeah, imagine telling Neil Adams in the grave he sucks for doing that. Although these kids online will try. I mean, really, they're ridiculous. Let's see. It's like, if I get like an inch from the comic book and look at the individual letters, I can kind of see it, but no one's going to do that. Yeah, most people don't. I mean, honestly, it's like, if you think about, like, I think like they say that each panel in a comic book gets about 30 seconds or something like that. So it's like someone's looking for 30, because also the thing is, though, is like, sometimes I think that it's like, oh, am I spending way too much time fussing with these panels? Am I spending way too much time fussing with these panels? Right? Like, it's like, oh, this doesn't quite look right, or oh, I think that this, this doesn't have enough detail in it. And then it's like, you kind of like think about the average person, right? And it's like, how quickly, it's like, really, how much are they paying attention? I think that that's the reason why there's so many assets on Clip Studio. Because if the average comic book reader is only looking at each panel for 30 seconds, imagine if you're scrolling, right? You're not even spending 30. I hate those. I hate scroll reading comics. I swear to God. I'd say Jones says most of it is basically about the story anyway. If you have a good story, the art comes second. You know what? I have to agree with that. I really do, because in the end, even though this is a combination reading / visual medium, the story is king. It's like, if you want longevity in doing comics, especially, the story has to be top notch. Your story has to be tight, for you to have. I mean, it's like, because there is only, unless you're like an Arthur Adams or a Todd McFarlane or something, where people like tolerate the fact that it's like, oh, well, no one's reading for the story anyway. Everyone's just buying for the artwork. Um, you know, but yeah, the story in the end, the story is king. If you don't have a story, you're missing half the point of doing a comic book. I've had people argue with me on that point, saying that nobody reads comics. They're only collecting them. It's a collector's market and blah, blah, blah. And, and it's like, it's all about, getting certain artists and people collect certain artists and that's it. And it's like, I guess if you're catering to a collector's market, then yeah, that would be your reality. Um, the thing that I've always hated is people who take their personal issues or like their personal preferences or their personal issues, and they try to make it sound like it's a societal thing. It's like, oh, I only collect comics for the artwork or for like the variant covers. That means that everybody does that. And it's like, no, you dipshit. That's you. that's you that does that. It's like, but if you look in the grand scheme of things, everyone remembers the story. Everybody remembers story arcs. It's like artists associated with certain story arcs. I mean, it's, yeah. What was the point I was even trying to make with that? Let's see. Yeah, it's like, yeah, if you have a good story, okay, yeah. Oh, so if you have a good story, the art comes second, right? I mean, honestly, oh, what did Jose tell me? But the thing, yeah, Jose had said, it's like, yeah, you need a good story. But you see, the thing is, though, is that you still need the good art for people to read the good story. Because if it's just about the story, write a novel, right? I mean, it's like if it's all about like, oh, well, the story is good, then write a novel. You don't need the artwork. But if you're going to work in comics as a medium, yes, you need the story for the longevity. Because if people are just collecting the artwork, they don't need to collect your story. They just need to collect one issue, have the artwork, and call it a day, right? But if you really want them to invest in that, in your series, they're investing in the story. However, the artwork still needs to be attractive enough that people will read the story, because people will see the artwork first, right? It's kind of like a trap. you know like it's like, so it's like, yes, the story is the most important, but you need to bring them in with the artwork so that they read the story and get invested, right? um because people but you see, this is kind of like where it diverges, right? Because it's like people will tolerate a bad story if the artwork is good, but only up to a point, right? However, and I've had this happen. I really like the story, but the artwork is so bad, I can't continue reading the story. I'm not going to say what book it is, right? I'm not going to say what book it is. But there's a book that I actually really enjoyed story-wise. It's the type of story that I would like to continue reading. However, that was my issue, where the artwork was so bad that it's like, you know what? The story isn't that good that it could carry the bad artwork. If the artwork was a little bit better, I would be able to push through to read the rest of the story. I'd be able to overlook that detail and continue reading the story if the artwork was just a little bit more attractive, right? Conversely, there was a similar book that had the opposite problem, right? The artwork was beautiful. Artwork was beautiful. However, the story was a mess. Like the story was juvenile. The person had no sense of pacing. Way too much dialogue. Way too much info dumps. And the beautiful artwork couldn't save it. Because it's like the artwork isn't that good that I can tolerate this inane story. So you kind of, have, in comics, it has to work together. It's like in the end, it's like, yeah, Joan says the art is like the candy that gets you into the store. Yes, that's exactly what it is, right? But so it's like, so once you're in the store, if the story is good, you're gonna stay there, right? But if you have the problem of weak artwork cannot save a good story. Sometimes it's a detriment to it. Sometimes, just like really good artwork. Well, it's like, no, good. Yeah, it's like, no, it's like weak artwork cannot save a good story. Right? Just like good artwork cannot save a really weak story. It's like there has to be this balance. There has to be, it's like you have to, because it's like it's a give and take. You want me to read your story, but you want me to look at mediocre artwork. It's like, it's, yeah, it if you're in comics, you have to balance. It has to be a balance. Like, because with like, if you're like reading a novel, right? You can't hide behind artwork. So your prose has to be on point. Like, I'm reading a book now that it's like, it's really, it's kind of okay. It's okay. That in the end, it's okay. Right. I haven't given up on it yet, but the problem is that there's something very juvenile about the writing that I'm having a hard time putting my finger on it. It's like the trend. It's like, it's a first person novel that they really should have written in third person. And it keeps annoying me. That keeps it like they're writing in first person, but they're putting in so much detail that it's like nobody's head runs like that. If you're asking me to read from the perspective of one character, that's way too much information. Nobody has a running dialogue like that, and it's like, and it was just like really annoying, but if they had written it in third person, it would have given me the breaks that I needed, like a break from the character, so that I could absorb the additional information without it feeling like this character is having this running dialogue in their head, this nonstop running dialogue. And it's just like, it's like, it's just, yeah, it's, writing is so important. Writing is very important. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, but in terms of comics, though, it is a fine line that you need to have to, it's like, you can't, if one outbalances the other. That's why kind of like I get worried a bit with my older artwork. Now, if you guys want to hear me have have a complex about something, right? Um, so because it's taken so long for me to do my work, right? There's kind of there's a really noticeable difference between like my first issue and whatever it is I'm working on now, right? Like to take Tall Tales, right? The first couple of issues, I don't really, at that time when I started the series, I don't really kind of get my groove until the fourth issue. And and those first four issues, well, it's like, yeah, those first three issues are kind of like really rough. And I'm at a point now where it's like it used to not bother me, but now it bothers me. And it's like, but I have to let that go. Right. And it's kind of like the same thing with Eagle Raven now. My first issue looks completely different from my ninth issue. And it's going to look, even, yeah, and my 16th issue is going to look even better. You know, but um but it's kind of hard for me to look at that first issue and think, is this turning people off? Like I kind of have like that nagging thing where it's like, if people are looking at the first 2-3 issues of Tall Tales, are they like not reading it because the artwork is so old, and not realizing that the artwork actually get better as the series goes along? The story's good, remains the same pretty much, but I kind of wonder whether my older artwork is kind of like a reason why it just seems like I'm not it doesn't feel like I get too much traction. I don't know. That's just my anxiety talking. You got to get used to that. That's just my, just to show you that this is my thought process, right? Um, you know, um, so it's like I kind of wonder, like, is that a problem? It's like, do people pick up my first issue and go, oh, this is really rough? And it's like, well, yeah, but I get better as the issues. Like, does that matter to anybody? It's like, am I just freaking myself out? Because sometimes I really do think that's like, I really should re-ink those first couple of issues. Maybe I should just re-ink them, and it's like kind of like clean them up a bit so like all the issues kind of match, you know, and I, but at the same time, do I really want to waste my time redoing something that's done already and may not be as big of a deal as I think it is? You know, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like, right, exactly, Joe. Right. It's like if you did that, you'd never get to issue 2. Right, exactly. That's always something that I've always been frustrated with other artists who do this, where it's like they're constantly redoing their issue 1. Like I knew a guy who did like 5 versions of his issue 1. Well, also for the fact too, not for nothing, also for the fact too that he couldn't get his story straight. Like he had the story, but for some reason he just couldn't get it together. And he was constantly like writing himself. Oh, bye Grant, like writing himself into a corner. So he was constantly changing his issues, his one issue. Um and so that certainly didn't help. Um because it's like he would do like maybe like he would do his first issue, realize that, oh, I should have done this in the story, I should have done that, and then he'd scrap it and then he'd do it all over again. He'd rewrite it and do it all over again. And it's like, if you had just sat down and wrote your story first and gotten the story done right the first time, you wouldn't have this issue with your issues. But he was also going things like, oh, my artwork is so much better now. And it's like, your artwork is always going to be better. Your artwork is always going to change the more you draw. That's just how it works. It's like, you know, so that's kind of like the thing that I wrangle with. I mean, it's like, what's funny is that that's kind of what is happening to this issue with Tall Tales too. It's like, because I'm using the previous issue as as a reference, and I think I did this issue, what, like 2020. I did issue 6 in 2020. It's 2025. It's 5 years later, right? And yeah, after doing 16, after cramming through 16 issues of Ego Raven, my style is different now. Um, you know, yeah, Sarah said, oh, this, yeah, it's like, reminds me of the bazillion times the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents is still being done. It gets old after a while. It's like, look, it's kind of like Spider-Man, right? It's like, oh, we need to show the no, you don't need to show the origin of Spider-Man. You don't need to show the origin of Superman. You don't need to show the origin of of Batman. We know them. We collectively know them as a culture. Okay, it's like, they're so part of the zeitgeist. Our grandparents know the origin stories of Batman, of Spider-Man, of Superman. We don't need to hear that story again. Yeah, it's so hard. Yeah, 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm, so yeah, so that's what I think about sometimes. And it's like, going back to the whole thing where it's like, I think my story's good, but is my artwork in those first issues getting in the way? I know Jose's story is good in Tall Tales, but is my artwork in those first issues getting in the way? Is that artwork so old that people are like going, "Ooh, I'm not reading that." It's like, it's like, I don't know. The Thanos copter. I mean, yeah, I forgot my point. I guess it's like, it's the whole going back to, yes, the story is king, but your artwork still has to lead people into the van. Your artwork still has to lure people in to read the story. And what happens when the artwork gets in the way? And it's like, so yeah, so that's something I concern myself with sometimes. Maybe unnecessarily. Like, do I really see myself redoing my first 4 issues, of either Tall Tales or Ego Raven? Let's see. Sarah says, if someone is doing that with their own art, redoing it with a few alternatives, that would leave me with the impression that he made mistakes and wasn't good, so he was having to fix it. Well, yeah, that too. That too. I know that when I was preparing Ego Raven issue 1 for Kickstarter back in 2020, Ego Raven 1 I put on Kickstarter in January 2021. I really had to fight the temptation to redo the entire issue. What I ended up compromising, and I just ended up fixing, like, really, really sloppy places. It's like if it was like really, really sloppy looking, that's where I fixed it. But it's I didn't touch anything else. Maybe I tweaked some backgrounds. I probably like fixed some faces a bit, but not as much as I really, really wanted to. Because I figured, it's like, what? It's like, I've been sitting on this comic for 20 years already. Let me just finally get it out. Let me just color it and re-letter it and get it out. Which I did 9 issues later. right? Um, I mean, it's like I keep convincing myself that I don't go back to do that, to redo stuff, because I need to respect the artist that I was when I did those pages. Um, but it's like, but like I said, like especially now, the closer I get to the ending, like I said, I'm working on issue 10. um the closer I get to the ending, the more I kind of like wonder about it. But I'm not sure if it's really, no, it's not really the closer I get to the ending. It's more like the more I try to find alternative venues, alternative avenues to show off my series, and I have to start it from the beginning. And then it's like those old mistakes, like the kind of like the roughness of that first issue kind of becomes more and more and more apparent. And I still haven't decided how much it should really bug me. Um, Sarah says variants are one thing, constantly redoing it is another. Yeah, and then she goes, yes, there's a lot of perfectionism in the art, which is understandable. Fixing it by getting better over time in further issues isn't a bad thing. That guy just seems strange to be doing it to his art. Well, yeah, but I honestly, I think it's because he really doesn't have a story. Going back to the story is king, right? It's like the fact that he doesn't have a cohesive story to draw around means that whatever work that he draws is not really like, if he decides to change the story, that artwork's out the window. So, oh, Sarah says you can see the progression over the years, and I think that's great. It's like, I hope other people feel that too, right? God knows the first issue that Dave Sim did for Cerebus looks nothing like the 300th issue that he did. And I think it would be silly for anybody to think that they would look the same. Right? I don't know. It's like I said, it's like this is kind of like, that's the anxiety talking. It's like I said, it has more to do with, trying to like look at, like, okay, how else can I promote this book? And oh, you know what really did it? You know what really did it? So I wanted to revive my Instagram account. And I really, and the thing that I'm trying to figure out with all these social medias is trying to do them in a way that makes sense to me. That will allow me to actually want to post these things. You know? Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. And for Instagram, I figured out, well, for Instagram, what I decided to do was that I was going to kind of like upload Eagle Raven issue 1, kind of sorta, to Instagram. What I did was I took all the square panels on from my comic and just started uploading them sequentially. So there's some panels that are not there, so it's not like you're getting the full story there. And then it's like for each upload, I say it's like, oh, you can read it on Webtoons, right? You can read the full thing on Webtoon. So, so now it's like I'm looking at these panels, individual panels, as one thing, right, on my Instagram. And that is like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of getting a close up when how you open up your camera on your phone as the front facing, and you're like, oh my God. kind of like that. And that's kind of like how I felt seeing the panels up close like that. And just like how, and then like realizing, oh my God, I really needed to re-ink this. I really need to it's like, I'm like looking at it going, it's like, if I just re-ink this, it'll look so much better. It's like if there was a way for me to re-ink it and just lay it on top of the color and not have to recolor it. I mean, it's like, and it's like every time I see one of those panels, and it's like, and I just ended up with a complex, and I just ended up like wondering, it's like, is this scaring people off? Is this artwork too old that it's scaring people off? And I really don't like thinking that way because, like I said, it gives me anxiety at the thought. Um, and it's like I always have it in the back of my head, and I don't know. It's like I really don't know, like if oh um if it's really an issue, or it's just something that I'm just like kind of making up. I'm just making up this anxiety. Um I really don't know. I really don't know. But story is king. Story is king. um HR says if the story was super bad, why draw it? It would have had no motivation. That's my take. You'd be surprised at how many creators, like, they don't even wait to get a script. That, like, they don't even wait to put together their story. They just have this idea and they go, oh, I have to get it drawn out. Or it's like they only get as far as like mapping out the first issue, and then they have to rush out to get somebody to draw it because, oh, we have to get this out. And it's like, you don't even have a coherent story. How are you why are you spending money to get somebody to draw this when you don't even know what the second issue is? Everybody thinking they're fucking George Lucas. It's like the first Star Wars is a hit, and now he's being pressured to write a second movie. It's like, it's like, it's just kind of like, yeah, you'd be surprised. And then it's like only when they hit the 4th, 5th, 6th issue, when they realize the story's not going anywhere, that they that they go, oh my God, it's like I wasted all this time. I have to do this over, or it's like, well, this is people paying, but it's like, yeah, it's like, you have the artist who just has, they have the good idea. Oh, I got to draw this comic. And then it's like they're halfway through it and they're like, oh, I didn't think this out too, because it's a lot. It's very easy. It's very easy to draw the cool pages. It's very easy to draw the cool scenes. Right. And, and it's like, and then, but there gets to a point that when you're not on the cool scenes, like, oh, wait, how did I even get here? Right. And yeah, a lot of people, a lot of artists waste their time like that, you know? But I mean, yeah, but I mean, that's not my issue. I have my story is done. Like my 16 issues is done. I'm just doing, finishing the inking, and the story's done. But my concern is, oh my God, it's like, is my artwork old, in those first issues, or something? Like, I don't know. You know what? I might be just making that up. I maybe it's just, it's like maybe there's just nothing wrong, and I just haven't really found my audience, except for the people, who pick it up already, and which I thank you all for that. Um, but it's I don't know, and then it's like, there's also this weird nagging thing that I have in the back of my head too. that it's like, a lot of this anxiety comes from this whole pressure to having to find an audience for my work. And it's like, what if I don't really have to? What if I just do my work because I like doing it, and whoever reads it and enjoys it, that's pretty much all I need. It's like in the end, it's like, yeah, like where is this pressure? Um Oh, yeah, HR says they want to draw the aerobics fighting scenes. Yeah, it seems like that is the shit for a lot of comic artists. Yeah. Yeah. They want to draw the cool fight scenes and then realize they have no story that gets to it. Right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm just creating my own anxiety, right? Maybe I'm just worried about something that's not that's not really an issue that I should be worrying about. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, maybe a lot of what I worry about is actually not that important. Like what if it's like, what, I just do comics. What if I just decide, it's like, what, I just do this for the fun of it. And it's like, I know there's an audience out there, but I haven't, like a wider audience. But it's like, but what if there isn't? What if whoever, all these friends that I made along the way, what if that's it? What if it was always the friends we made along the way? What if that's what mattered? All the friends, we've made on Kickstarter pledging to my campaign. It's like, what if that was it? You know? Is that really such a bad thing? you know? Um yeah, I never understood Dragon Ball. I never got into it, and it's like, I don't know. I really I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's an underlying story there somewhere, or else it wouldn't have lasted this long. But yeah, I don't get it. I guess I'm just too old for it. But oh my goodness. So this is what I was able to get done today. Um, it's certainly a lot more than I had on the page, that's for sure. Um, but I guess, I'm glad that people wanted to see this, that this part of the process, this kind of like this more back end type, how do you even get to this point, how to do layouts, how to figure out your lettering, it's like how to fit your story into X amount of pages, it's like, yeah, that's the back end stuff that we have to really think about. And you know what, I'm kind of glad that everybody wanted to see that. So learning how the sausage is made, essentially. So eventually this issue will get done. Eventually, I do want to get 7 and 8 done this year. It's like, look, we're just finishing up January already, so it's like, I don't know, it's like I just want to get issue 10 finished, so I don't have to worry about the next campaign. But still, though, it's like I'm only on page 10 right now, so I figure slowly I'll get through. I'll get through these pages. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being the official cheerleader of the chat today. Between you and HR. So okay, let me just put this here. So you know what? At least it was something different. At least it was something different for me. What did I just? Okay, there we go. At least it was something different for me to do today. So, oh my goodness, let me just switch over. There we go. There we go. So, oh my goodness. Also, I'm a little hungry, so it's probably time for all of us to go have dinner anyway. So, oh my goodness. Thank you, Lou. Thank you. So I hope that was entertaining somehow to everybody. I don't know. You get to listen to me kvetch also for 2 hours. So I don't know. I'm sure people find that entertaining on some level. I think we had a very educational show today. I didn't even get to play my music because I was talking so much. I completely forgot. But that's okay. So yeah, so thank you everybody for joining me in the chat. Lou, HR, Sarah, Grant, let's see, Joe, we had Jones. Thank you, Jones. Okay, Fern was in there somewhere. Grant, Melissa, and Michael, Hoy, hello. I think that's everybody. I know Joseph was it Horizon Black. Thank you for watching. Thank you everybody in the chat for keeping me company today and choosing artwork that I wouldn't have chosen because you wanted to see more layout stuff. I mean, I would think that the layouts were boring, but obviously not. So I'm glad I was helpful. I'm glad I was able to help. Thank you so much to all of my beautiful eyeball people watching from regions beyond. You could have spent your time doing anything else, but instead you decided to spend your 2 hours with me, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much. I hope you got something out of it, or at least even if I was just in the background while you were working, you just needed to hear somebody yapping. It's like that. That's fine too. It works out for everybody, right? Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, again. And I don't know. I never have a good sign off for these things, so I guess if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and all the other stuff that I do, and of course, my campaigns and all that. You're going to head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. You can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And remember that you could also catch me here on YouTube at my channel. If you're watching me from Twitch, you can catch me here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, where I have a archive of 600 plus videos for you to watch, various live streams and speed paints and tutorials and rant videos. It's like pretty much I have a little bit of everything. And like I said, keep an eye out on Fridays where I will be uploading my weekly vlog series where I do a roundup of the artwork, the finished artwork for the week, and whatever I'm going to be, what I'm thinking about at that moment. Join me on Friday, on that Friday upload. I will be talking about book formats. So that's another thing that's been bothering me lately. So, if you want to, so keep an eye out for that video when I finally upload it. And remember that you can read Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, where you can read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free and catch up on the latest story arc, Tears in the Mother, which is also currently uploading. And remember, if you also want another alternative, you want an alternative to reading it on my website, you can also read Eagle Raven on Webtoons. Eagle Raven updates every Tuesday on Webtoons. We're just finishing up, I think, like the 3rd issue of Eagle Raven. And you can also check out Tall Tales on Webtoons as well. We're also finishing up the 3rd issue there as well. So Eagle Raven on Tuesdays, Tall Tales on Thursdays. Thank you so much to everybody who have subscribed and rated the series. Thank you so much. I think that I'm finally getting enough people to get like a realistic rating as to what everyone thinks of the series. So thank you so much. It means that you're reading it at least. You know? So also remember that Eagle Raven is on Kickstarter with issue 9 of this 16 issue series. Jesus, issue 9 out of 16. The link is in the chat and in the show notes. We still have plenty of time. I just unveiled a series of postcards that cosplay postcards that we will be unlocking the first one at $3,000. So if you want to get that added to your pledge, go on over to Kickstarter and pledge to Eagle Raven and help us unlock those art postcards that you can collect, all 4. As much as we can unlock them when we can. So thank you so much to everybody who has pledged already. Like I said, you could be spending your money on anything else, but you're buying my book, and I thank you so much for that. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me and keeping me company. It's always fun. It's always fun doing this stream and talking to everybody. It's kind of like a convention, but you don't have to worry about dropshippers next to our table blocking the table. You don't have to worry about that. So thank you so much again. I have no quippy ending for this. All I can say is that be a better person today than you were yesterday, and be a better person tomorrow than you were today. So thank you so much, everybody. Again, take a shot every time I say that. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time.
You are all weirdos. Ugh.